Welcome to this channel. The channel is for education and culture based on historical and scientific evidence. Education is extremely important for us who want to seriously study Chinese martial arts and Wing Chun. With your education, that is impossible for us to really learn something. And in today's world, the Chinese culture is having a gap. Today's people mostly have no idea on what is going on 100 years ago. To be exact, 90 years ago, around 100 to 90 years ago, which is around 1920. And what it is beyond today's people's or mainstream thinking. So today, I like to open this up once for all. So you know. So you know what is the proper directions. So you know if you really want to study Wing Chun and Chinese Kung Fu, you know the truth in the history. Now let's start with this. From 1920 until today, Chinese have been going through a lot of things. 1930, the Japanese invade the China and then go through Second World War and then go through the inner war between the communists and the Kuomintang in China, the inner Chinese internal war. And then after the communists gain the China, and then it get into the cultural revolutions. Well, the communist Chinese in the history of China actually do a good thing. You see at least that everybody can live and have a good living. That is a contributions. However, there are problematic things like the cultural revolutions that something needed to be fixed. But then to fix that is difficult because the cultural revolution is the destructions of culture, the Chinese culture. And today you need to have a competition in the world just to fit your citizen, your populations. So of course, the fixings of culture is difficult. Not to mention that you need high education people to fix this. Okay. And so that is a dilemma. There's a tragedy there. And today's, like you say, many different style of Canton Chinese martial arts. How many of them is brought back from, say, Hong Kong, from overseas Chinese? You can check like Choi Lei Fat, Wing Chun. It is all tears and blood. In the previous generations try to restore it. However, today it is not restorations. I have already discussed with many Wing Chun uh, teachers, senior, different lineage. It is really problematic. And that's why today I decide to show you this in open so you understand. Now, in the previous few days, many things happened. including the snake crane Wing Chun inner cycle or insider, making a statement for public address on the really serious stuff because people are messing around with the snake crane secret notes. And of course, I was sharing that you got to watch out when you study Wing Chun. The you need to at least have a three system installed like your automotive, right? Your fuel system, which is your deep breathing, your sub-absorbing, which is abdominal pressure handling for your core, your spine protections, and your entire body muscular systems biomechanics. It cannot be this. And due to this, many of our Wing Chun friends is asking me questions, and somebody even attacked me in public forums. So I decide to share this to you all today. No, I'm not grandmaster. No, I'm not the best fighter. No, I'm not the gatekeeper. I'm like Horatio in Hamlet's story. I promise my past generations to tell you the story, like Hamlet promised, like the Horatio promised to tell the entire story of Hamlet. Why? Because this gives everybody an opening so that they can step on the solid ground and grow. Without that, nobody knows what's going on. So this channel is for that. I am for that. That's my missions. As a Chinese descendant, that's my culture. As a Wing Chuner, that's my transmissions. As an American, that is my duty to tell the truth, to share with the world, to help people. And after this YouTube, you will find out that what is the American contribute to the Chinese Kung Fu? Things which you don't know, okay? Or most people don't know. So let's go. For one thing, do you think I'm the genius who know this? Nobody else know? Do you think I'm the genius? I know all this that no other people know on the tradition? Of course not. What I'm knowing, I want to open it up for you guys so that you guys be able to see. It is not following me. It is the authentic Chinese Kung Fu. So let's go. The first thing we need to know in today's world, we need to watch out is authoritarian system. Okay, authoritarianism. People who act authority versus true transmissions of Chinese Kung Fu. Disregard Wing Chun or any style. Authoritarianism have their own regime, their own world, and yet the true transmission of Chinese Kung Fu is based on accurate and specific detail about Chinese history. This is very important. Anybody talk about true transmission, they have to provide accurate and specific details about the Chinese history. History means the records of how things evolve, who do what. Authoritarianism, which a lot of people practice today, based on, or I am the lineage holder, based on, or I have research in China, is practice this. And in the world of authoritarianism, authoritarianism is this. In this realm, the king holds absolute power. Those who fail to comply with the king's demand face punishment or bullying. King wannabes doing research engage in desperate fight among each other, eager to expose each other's weakness. They even manipulate situations to align with their agenda, disregard impartiality. Ultimately, the pursuit of power and money trumps truth, the well being of people, and fairness. This is what authoritarianism is about. Okay? And you can see this type of people. I'm going to give you example. While the reality is you need to be really objective, like study in university, in engineering, in medicines. You want to tell the accurate, specific details about the Chinese history or the Chinese martial evolutions by details. For example, authoritarianism is like, say you go to a cardiologist. The cardiologist will not tell you, according to me, you da ba 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 ba. Every professional cardiologist will show up your ultrasonic scan, your ECG, and then explain to you accurately and specifically details on what is going on with you. So this is in today's world 2025, we need to know that true transmission is about professional. Like the mainstream professional is not my say. I'm the king, hold the absolute power. If you fail to comply me, I will attack you. I'll punish you. I'll bully you. Okay? And you have many kings wannabe who do research this and that. What? The ultimate is to pursue of power and money. It's not truth. How to do it? How to understand this? Well, just check the action. I explained to you. A cardiologist will never tell you, even the best cardiologists in the United States will never tell you, follow me. I'm Dr. blah, blah, blah. No, the people saying that very humbly tell you professionally, this, based on this. So the real expert is about telling people, serving people. It's not about, I'm king, follow me, or I punish you, or I take you in the forum. Okay? One other thing is, king always like to put themselves above law. But sorry, we live in America. We live in China. Nobody is above law. Okay? And as in this YouTube, it is true that there are many versions of king kid within a system or family. The authentic, which is only the teacher keep it for himself and for his inner student. The watery down, purposely giving to for testing the student before they get the authentic. The misleading, for those who go to the school just wanting to steal informations. And then the fake makeup version, which is from those who have no idea what it is, but heard about a little bit here and there, and then make up their own stuff. So you have to watch out this. This is happened in the Chinese uh, tradition for past 150 years in Wing Chun. I have compared note on this thing in Fat San, okay, with Mr. Tang, the historian. You pay this much money, you get this. You pay this much money, you learn this. And those who really learn it will have to actually uh, take their teacher as like their parents, support him at home, give him a good life at home, so that the Sifu teach you. And you can hear from different lineage, including Snake Crane Wing Chun, that how many goals you have to pay to the teacher. Of course, we all heard from the story from Yip Man lineage that Grandmaster Yip Man have to pay goals, right? So there is the truth in the reality at the end of Qing Dynasty since 1850. So unless one obtain the true transmission, authentic one, educate themselves and train with it, they have no idea what the truth it is. You can have a authentic writing, but if you don't have a coach from your Sifu, you don't know what is the writing is about. You don't know where the writing is come from. An authentic Chinese quid, disregard of any style, always come with traceable mother source. And then using mother source to decode the present note. Okay? It based on accurate and specific detail. That's authentic Chinese. Never it is about Chinese character or sinologist guessing without the authentic true transmission quid. It is reality. Example. This is the 1850 Xiu Lim Tao quid. Within this, you will have to have your Sifu's signature on is the transmissions. Within this, you know it is from Hong Mun group. So Wing Chun 1850 is anti-Qing from Hong Mun because it record here, actually here. That signature here. You go to Hong Sing Choi Lei Fat, you got that too. Okay? It's Chinese tradition. You know it is belong to the male play female roles sections of Fine Jade Opera House, from the salutations, from the Hong Mun or anti-Qing or Chinese Freemasons secret code or identity code. Don't put the name secret, identity code, because Chinese Masons, different sect, different group have their identity code. So Wing Chun, quit writing. This last line is the identity code. It is a design. The code is a design of this is belong to the male play female roles. The martial arts source is from General Qi Ji Guang. That clear. And then, well, more on General Qi Ji Guang. This is your Bong Sao. This is where it is. This is where it is. That is referred to this. Okay? And of course, it is Shaolin Sword Strike. You see, everybody see that the plum flower footwork, the triangle footwork. Okay? And within that, without the Shaolin Sword Strike, you will not be able to decode the fundamental. That's why I share with you. Come with traceable mother source, using the mother source to decode present note. That's based on accurate and specific details. This is Chinese culture until 1910s, when the Chinese changed their language to the today's modern Chinese language. The ancient language for thousands of years is always following this. When you get a code, you always need to have the mother art to define this. And then the mother have, you can trace upward to define the mother. There's no you say, I guess, if, or I'm the king, you listen to me. No. A Sifu's job is to teach you this. So there is a, a Buddhist connection. You say Wing Chun is a Buddhist art. You have the Buddhist connection to the Shaolin and Mei Zhuang and to Vipassana and Samatha practice. Okay, from the Buddhist monk Zhiyi. He tracked this far, 1,400 years. Now, for the Mei Zhuang, we know that in 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 the lineage, when we practice Xiu Lim Tao, we always say you need to be dim dim cheng in Cantonese. Every point has to be clear. That every point have to be clear is come out from the teaching of Mei Zhuang. The Mei Zhuang teaching saying the entire body should not exert an unnecessary force, allow the breathing and the energy, the qi, to flow naturally. Savoring small details is the key to success. That is where the Wing Chun Dim Dim Cheng come from. So again, you get this quid. It's not much, but the entire thing is it show you what is the parents, and you have a lot of that. Okay, so that's the truth of Chinese tradition, the authentic, the true transmissions. Without any step of these transmissions, your endorsement from your Sifu, with signature writing what you got, as you got. Maybe my other Si Heng senior have different transmissions. They too will get this. So when we sit together, Sifu taught you this part, this part, this part. Why? Who is Superman? Nobody is Superman. I can learn this part, but I cannot learn that part. Why? Life is short. We all have limitations. That's what happened. Okay? So this is reality. This is traditional Chinese culture in martial arts, in Kung Fu, in Wing Chun. Okay? It is not about me. I'm the king. I got the transmission. It's not. It's to tell everybody this is what you need. So you can look at this. It's like what the operating user operating manual of your phone. Okay, you need all those. Otherwise, how can you operate your iOS system and everything or Google? Okay, now you see this. I want to show you another part of it, another part of Chinese martial arts, which you have no idea it exists. So let's go to 1935, 1930, 1920, 1930. At that time, Qing dynasty has already overthrown by Sun Yat-sen, the forefather of China. Guess what? Sun Yat-sen is an American. Sun Yat-sen used to live in San Francisco, Chinatown. Today, you go to Chinatown, you can see the place, the Chinese Freemason place where Sun Yat-sen lived there. So Sun Yat-sen is American. And as we all know, Bruce Lee is an American. you always can see that the evolution of China always related to America. So you want to know this person, Tang Hao, around 1929. Tang Hao is a Chinese martial artist and reformer. He's one of them. Okay. So he studied many Chinese and Japanese martial art, including Tai Chi, Chun Tai Chi, Judo, and Kendo. Tang was arrested 1927 during just the Shanghai Massacre of 1927 under suspicion of link to Communist Party. Okay, by later released, and he went to China to study law and martial art. Tang was impressed by the Japanese ongoing modernizations and wrote several articles advocating reform modernizations of Chinese martial arts. Okay, which emphasized on practical martial art skill that could be used for strengthen the nations. Why? Because the entire Qing, especially the Qing dynasty, is actually belong to Manchuria. Chinese are second-class citizen. That's why our ancestor, the Wing Chun ancestor, do the uprising in the 1850. The people are really corrupted because it is a Manchurian regime, kingdom. Of course, they don't want you to study the real martial arts. So Wing Chun is underground. It is from anti-Qing, which is from Ming Dynasty military. As we see, that is from Qi Ji Guang and just Shaolin sword strike from Qi Ji Guang, so forth. Okay, now, so after returning to China, Tang was hired as editor of a General Guoju Institute, a martial academic which established national government by the under the similar philosophy of his own. They want modernize. They know it is big trouble. Okay. Now, Tang Hao at that time wrote a book, which is I want to share with you. It is this book. It is this book, Tang Hao's book. In this book, this is at the 19. This book was written in 1935, December 9. Okay. So this is what we have to watch out. He won modernization, and you look at what happened. So at that time, somebody, when he wrote another book, this Mr. Wu wrote a book on sword strike. It said that Westerner always look at our Chinese martial art, Chinese kung fu as a flowery. It is just a demonstrations. It is not following the physiology and my biomechanics. Okay, and it is just flowery. So Mr. Tang Hao, in his book, named that person who said that at the 1920s in China. The person is American. Name is McCloy. And Tang Hao said, McCloy have said this. You guys are all doing flowery stuff, which is violating biomechanics and violating physiological. And Tang Hao said, okay, so that they said, he said that, however, what Mr. McCloy said in China is actually The same with what identical to what General Qi Ji Guang said hundreds of years ago. He said, Mr. McCroyle, Professor McCroyle is an experienced physical education's professor. He come to China to teach, okay, physical educations in a pretty long period of time. Okay. So what Mr. McCoy from America, the professor from America saying critics the Chinese at that time, what he said is exactly the same with General Qi Ji Guang. Okay, this is a General Qi Ji Guang writing critic that. Okay, so this is here in General Qi Ji Guang classic critic that, hey man, at the Ming Dynasty, uh, it is all flowery bullshit. Okay, why he said that is because at that time the Chinese, remember, need to fight the Japanese pirates and Japanese that's warrior, Japanese warrior and Japanese pirate, the samurai. So General Qi Ji Guang make the critics. So the critic is the same with what Mr. McCloy or Professor McCloy uh, said in the early 1900, 1920s something. Okay? Now, so Tang Hao continued to say, he said, General Qi Ji Guang said, once you get the art, you must test it. But you never claim that you are superior than other people if you win, and then you feel that you are really low when you lose. The key is to test out what is it. This is the teaching of General Qi Ji Guang. And then he said that the Chinese martial arts uniqueness is the use of momentum. The use of momentum. Momentum. So up to here, you know Hendrik is not genius. Hendrik is just Horatio tell you what is the real Chinese martial art is about. And there's no magic, okay? Because our American, I'm glad I'm American. Our American have go to China in early 1900 to tell the Chinese, hey man, a lot of things you do is flowery stuff. And people know Tang Hao and all those people who have educated, who is martial artists, who have studied out overseas, saying that, man, this is Qi Guang. Qi Ji Guang have already said this to the Chinese martial arts in 1560. Okay? So now you know where I got my thing, I learned my thing. Okay? There is the transmissions of Chinese Kung Fu. So Tang Hao saying that divisions, the outlook of Mr. McCroy is exactly the same with Qi Ji Guang. So when you look into a martial art, you don't say American doesn't know anything. You don't say Chinese is invincible. No. In the world, there are so many good people, expert. So this has happened in 1930s, 1920s. So now ask the question, who is this Professor McCroyle? Well, this is Professor McCroyle. This is Professor McCall, Professor Charles McCroyle. Okay? So Professor McCall born in Marietta, Ohio, 1886. Time in China from 1913 to 1926. He worked with the YMCA and National Southeastern University in China, where he helped modernize physical educations and become fluent in Chinese. So McCloy also teach in University of Iowa. Well, I went to Iowa State for my engineering degree, so it feels really close. Okay. So research contributions. McCloy was a leader in the scientific measurement of physical performance. His work include this strength test, classification index, motor skills. And seriously, who is Dr. McCrory? Read this. Professor McCall's study physical education from the international viewpoint lead him to write to many foreign publications, all these things. More importantly, read this. During World War II, he was a physical recondition consultant to Surgeon General of U.S. Army, consultant to U.S. War Department, chairman of Civil Society Advisory Committee of U.S. Navy Physical Fitness Program, Army and Navy Commit on Welfare Recreations. He prepared physical fitness manual for Army, which is being used for both Army and Air Force. Now you know who he is. Now you know what his influence to China, Chinese Kung Fu. Now, continue on. We look at the person, Ma Li Tang. Ma Li Tang is one of the top Chinese martial artists, top Qigong or Neigong practitioner. Ma Li Tang, one of Ma Li Tang's Sifu is Du Xingwu. Du Xingwu is the bodyguard of Sun Yat-sen because Qing wanted to assassinate Sun Yat-sen. Remember? Du Xingwu is one of the Sifu of Ma Li Tang. So who else Ma Li Tang study with? Study with the Xing Yiquan Grandmaster Guo Yinsheng. Okay. Liu Weixiang. Okay. And here Du Xingwu, Liu Caicheng, Sun Lutang. Is that big enough name, top enough name in internal arts? So the Ma Li Tang at the 1920s, 1920s, 1930s, he was study in the physical education's department of the Hubei, the Northern University. Okay, so this is very important. He is pushing for the reform of Chinese martial arts. So he is in the same time with uh, with the Tang Hao. And you know that Ma Li Tang is in university. So this is what he's proposed. The literate translation. He proposed to overthrow the outdated and dehumanized notions of lineage and sectarianism in martial. Authoritarianism. Okay, somebody act like king to expose the mystifications of martial art and to oppose the theatricalizations of martial arts. This is at 1930s. Okay, this is at 1930s. To be exact here, 1935, he actually grouped the people who want to reform. But all these things get disturbed because the Japanese invade China. And Tang Hao, go see the Japanese invaded Manchuria in 1831. Tang Hao began participating in anti-Japanese activity. Same with Ma Li Tang. So the Chinese Kung Fu reform, of course, it will not happen. You just read this. You know that when Xi Xiaodong said you are just only for demonstrations, you know that is the disease of Chinese Kung Fu, where the real person, the real martial artist at that time want, or real educated martial artists want to reform. Where I share with you, Tang Hao, including Professor uh, McCloy, Ma Li Tang. Now, just look at the Ma Li Tang's writing. Ma Li Tang writing said it has to be, this is called physical education, Western educations, Western this physical educations. Okay, so he said that the 心气 to 丹田 and all this thing has to be feeding to physical educations. Not that you are God, you are the authority, you are whatever king. And he said you have to be scientific and you have to be educational. He further said in his book, this is his book. This is his book. Okay. So this is Ma Bu Zhou is Ma Li Tang. Okay. So these two books, if you want to buy, go buy it. Okay. Now this is what he continued to say. He mentioned nervous systems. Okay, your nervous system, like your sympathetic, parasympathetic nervous system, the brain, and so forth. He further said your cardio, okay, your cardio and your heart rate. He further said your blood pressure and your blood vessels, how your blood pressure uh, increase or raising of blood pressure. He further said about the breathing. Okay, how much you breathe, how much cubic breath you take in those things. This is the national year 2025 is actually year 1935 when this book was wrote. It is 90 years before today. Okay? So now you know, okay? As I shared with you the other day in my book, Wing Chun Nei Gong Decode, I say that in 1980 China, Grandmaster Ma Li Tang renowned his teaching of six kind of subtle breath with this in chapter 3 under the treatment of disorder and said Okay, you want to have your breathing, when the breathing, when the breathing rate slow down to 4 times per minute, it marked the beginning of Qigong development. You know, 100 years ago, yeah, he already know, right? Because McCloy is in teaching in the university, National South University from 1913 to 1926. 100 years ago, he's there. And then he left, and the Tang Hao brought it up. Ma Li Tang brought it up 1930s. So 100 years ago, the Chinese already know about this. American bring this to China by Professor McCroy. Why do you think I brought this back? Why do you think I brought this nature pace practice or standalone practice back? Why do you think I bring this back? Why do you think I bring this breathing thing back? Why do you think uh, I brought that this thing in the Wing Chun Nei Gong the code? The Qi neurosync training, you use subtle breathing, fitness training, and strengthen training. Why do you think I bring this physiology, ultimate effect of this thing, study of this thing, and this hypertension stuff? Am I genius? No. I'm just continue on what happened 100 years ago. And just to be really straight with you, Ma Li Tang is my Xigong in learning the six healing sound. Or today's term. It's not six healing sound, it's six, this, it is actually this. In very specific. Six kind of subtle breath to treat disorder. That's ancient teaching 1,400 years ago by Zhi in the book. Okay, in this uh, the basic principle of calming and contemplation book by Zhi, that six healing breath was mentioned, and it continued while 1,400 years until Grandmaster Ma Li Tang have one lineage of it, and I learned from Grandmaster Ma Li Tang's lineage. So this calming and contemplating today, if you really get into the study of mind, body, calming is called samatha. Contemplating is vipassana. We link it up everything to the details. I am not any genius. I just tell you what it is, and I tell you that stop to thinking about, oh, my sifu, my this, I do research in China. I'm proud that our American professor is teaching in China, helping to verify that General Qi Guang's works and to show that this scientific teaching, where the Chinese is using it, want to reform. Too bad the Japanese invasion start. And then until all this inner war and then cultural evolution, you wipe the entire thing up. Okay. And of course, Grandmaster Ma Li Tang at 1980s and 1980s start to, because he's get into prison too. He was in prison too. Cultural evolution and so forth. He started that, but he passed away in 1980s, almost 1990s. And then you have this all kinds of Chinese cult in China, and China banned it. That disturb. People always like to making cult and making use of Chinese culture, be it Chinese or foreign people. Okay, so Now you see, am I the genius? Do I qualify to talk about this thing? Hey man, you think Dr. McCroyle is bullshit? If he training that he set the program to for all kinds of things in the physical educations and for physical fitness for the army, the U.S. Army in the Second World War. Okay, think about it. Okay, so just read this. The SUE professor carried out many special assignments in government research group. He served on General Douglas MacArthur's education missions to Japan. 1946 was a consultant for several South America government concerning the national physical education program. I'm nobody. I just end up standing on some giant shoulder. But again, I'm nobody. I'm just Horatio telling you the story of Chinese Kung Fu. Okay? If you don't do that, you know it is a mess. And of course, 100 years ago, they don't have this instrument that you can measure what it is. And you don't have instrument to measure this heart rate, respiration rate, okay, and your heart rate variability like this. Okay? They will love to have this. Ma Li Tang will love to have this. And that's why in 1980s, Ma Li Tang said, there's a standard. Your Qi Gong development beginning at when your breath can going down to 4 times per minute. This is 6 times per minute. It has to go here when the Qi Gong starts. This is a 5 times per minute, but it can go up to 6. You know where you are. You cannot bullshit. That is the notions of the authentic true transmissions of Chinese Kung Fu. Okay? Hyperventilation. You are not going to keeping doing chain pun, okay, and get the excessive exhalations of carbon dioxide, which is lead to hypocapnia. Today is 100 years later. The science in the West, the gadget in the West, already much beyond 100 years ago. That is what you face, Chinese Kung Fu. So, to tell you one thing, the other day, somebody, expert, sinologist, saying that the Snake Crane Wing Chun book is written 1920. Are you sure? Because here he said that you must not teach your kung fu to the Westerner. Yi Di is Westerner. McCroy is in China, and they actually having the Chinese, like Ma Li Tang, even though he's an internal arts martial artist, with all this top teacher, he respect Professor McCroy a lot. Same with Tang Hao. So how is that? How is that this is written in 1920s? How is this written in 1920s? That have a writing said you don't teach your kung fu to the Westerner. Where the American professor is teaching in China and work really, really close, and the Chinese respect him and they want reform. So you know that people is just jumping gun on thing without knowing all this thing. Okay. If you really know Chinese, just a single words you know, and you know because you have to know all the history. Otherwise, it's not just character. Now, speaking about authoritarian, I give an example. This is Weng Yong with Gu Chuaiwa. This is Weng Yong. This is Gu Chuaiwa. Okay? So this is what he said. Grandmaster Gu Chuaiwa, also from Chou family, demonstrated the Chou family Xiu Lim Tao has spread it across Southeast Asia and China with recent promotion in Europe. However, I have never seen his individual perform this individual. However, I have never seen this individual perform his complete set he claimed to have inherited. Sifu Ku frequently visit the Punyi Chou family. Yet this individual who resides in San Jose, California, is me. Okay, visit for son a few years ago is puzzling why he did not take the half-hour drive to visit Punyi Chou family if he is indeed the exclusive successor of Yip Kam Xiu Lin Tao. This situation seems both strange and ridiculous. And I want to clarify Yip Kam's position in Wing Chun once again. It is Xiu Lin Tao only, not Wing Chun Queen, despite the underfound claim that made by this individual, meaning me, regarding my personal matter, my moon, and all this thing. You know what? Now you guys all know the history of China. You guys know, see through what is the real teaching of this. Okay? You guys know that why it is General Qi Shi Guang there? As Tang Hao said, McCloy, Professor McCloy, the guy who involved in military, U.S. Army, and so forth, he is actually McCloy's, okay, is actually have the vision, the view the same with General Qi Shi Guang. There is all the verifications from different people and now from around the world, from experts. So this guy is playing, as one example for you. This is this Weng Yong and with the Gu Chaiwa is playing what? Authoritism. Always asking questions. Or you this, you this, you this. In the realm, the king hold absolute power. Those who fail to comply with the king demand face public and bully. That's why the post is for. Okay? So this example for you, which happened to me. Gu Chuaiwa, this is in his own handwriting, this piece. This called Nim Tao, Bong Sao. Okay? Nim Tao Bong Sao, Long Bai Mei. Long Bai Mei is what? Long Bai Mei is the writing the code of the Choi Lei Fat Hong Sing Choi Lei Fat. How the hell is the Wing Chun 1850s writing, the real transmissions have this thing? Choi Lei Fat is a long fist uniqueness martial style. Of course, Choi Lei Fat, all legit martial art after Qi Shi Guang have the long fist, short strike, and then the ground fighting. Okay, or Tai Tong. Chilifat is uniqueness is the long fist. Wing Chun uniqueness is short strike. How will this thing happen? You know it's making up. So I'm not here to attack anybody. I'm here showing the evidence. Said, what is Chinese and what is this guy do? That's what I say. I don't attack anybody by evidence. Now, one thing I want to share with you. Remember, Tang Hao went to Japan. Tang Hao went to Japan to study law, martial art, okay, and martial art. Like General Qi Ji Guang studied the Japanese samurai sword. Okay, come on, okay. Tang was impressed by Japanese ongoing modernizations. You know why? Because Japanese is pretty serious and pretty disciplined. That's why Tang Hao go there. Well, when I was 13, I start Kyokushin until today. So this is Mas Oyama. This is my Sihan, okay, Jochin. And at that time, Koichi and Senpai, our teacher, uh, is so here, right? Okay, so it's teaching us there. Kenji Senpai, okay, and Koichi is also teaching us. So what is their rank in the world tournament of open of Kyokushin. So those are the people I saw. I'm nobody, but I saw Masuyama, uh, my Sihan Jojin Tachin also trained with Masuyama. Masuyama come to Penang, Malaysia. He went to the Japanese Open and all this. This is the Kyokushin Dojo Kun. Still, I hold today. Number four, we will okay. We will observe the rules of courtesy, respect our superiors, and refrain from violence. Number four, why do I why do I so remember this? Is because at my brown black examination, where Kyokushin you have to fight 10 guys, I KO a black belt. And then I act like I am some kind of king or god or whatever hell. Shihan Jochin pulled me to the side, asked me to remember this. And he told me too, we Chinese, you have to know, one mountain have another mountain higher. Stop to act like you're a good fighter, you can bully people or whatever. So again, what he told me is, as Chi Chi Guang said, you test out the art if you learn it, but you never say, I KO a black belt. Okay? And my Sihan Joe told me, if you think you are good, go join the open. Okay? Join the Kyokushin Open. Look for an opponent which is stronger than you. Don't bully the weaker, which you know that they are weaker or older and so forth. That is what I learned from Kyokushin. It's discipline. You cannot hold truth. Kyokushin is the ultimate truth. You cannot hold truth if you don't have discipline yourself and have this solid moral, like in here. So you know that the the Japanese is having this type of culture, Japanese martial arts. That's why Tang Hao, everybody in the 19 in the 1930s. This is 1927. Tang Hao went to Japan. Tang was impressed by Japan's going on modernization and wrote several articles advocating reform and modernizations of the Chinese martial arts. Okay, so there's a reason for everything, and everything is predictable. Okay, so we are educated, we are trained, like in Kyokushin, like Tang Hao and Ma Li Tang, everybody, the proper martial arts in the Chinese is going to these directions. Okay, and again, no science from America. Now, yesterday in the forum, somebody wrote me this. Oh yes, learn how to breathe because no one know how to before zombie came along to put traditional Chinese martial art right. What have people done without digital tracker to ensure that they were breathing? There's an old saying, you cannot take someone somewhere you haven't been. Zombie is an incredible sick individual, okay, and chronic disease, diabetics, while moving like walking dead. If the person making suggestions or proclaim regard of health related practice, especially in regard of martial art application, doesn't have even the base level of health fitness and have never displayed any error, you may think twice before taking a single word of this. Foster said, zombie give any health uh, relate advice, consider your lack of academic or practical expertise in high irresponsibility. You look at this. Do you know all this thing? Is that me? Or you are challenging Professor McCroyle? So that's another type of self-proclaimed king who hold absolute power, have yet not know what happened in Chinese Kung Fu past 100 years. Okay? So that's how bad it is. Not to mention the behavior of saying that zombie is an incredible sickly individual, not just mentally and chronic disease, diabetic, risk moving like the walking dead. If the person making suggestion or proclamation regard health related practice, especially in regard to martial art applicant, doesn't have even the basic level of health fitness, okay, and has never displayed any error, you may think twice. This is actually violating the America Disability Act. It's called harassment or discrimination based on the medical conditions. Think about it. If a person was born like me and have a diabetic, or the person who was born with a heart disease or kidney disease, or people have cancer, do you mock other this way? Does this person have any humanity care at all? Or he's just playing God, playing king? It's a pure authoritarianism. Okay? So the king hold absolute power. Those who fail to comply with king's demand face punishment and bully. That's what exactly it is. It's called bully. But it's violating the US law. And furthermore, Hendrik Santo, of course I do. You are easy to predict this way, and so hopelessly slow, and I can simply slap you with truth and slowly walk away, risk you clamber along looking for brains. You know this is bully, okay? Sorry, I have seen Mas Oyama, Mas Oyama's student, Mas Oyama's fighter. We all following. We observe the rules of courtesy, respect our superior, and refrain from violence. You go to Japan, you know it is senpai, your senior. You don't do that. You are a real martial artist, go fight in the tournament to somebody. I am 70 year old today. Do you say this kind of thing? Okay. Do you say this kind of thing? And then you say this, please use the term in court you like. You have my full permission. They could send me to the chair for abusing the undead, but you will be always be an unskilled intellectual importance, ego, egomania that no one will respect nor listen to. Now go file your report and stop trying to sell your fake knowledge on your waste of time books. This is in US is called defamations. Okay, defamations. This is all the rule of defamations. Okay, fit that. It's a legal action violations. So is it true that what I say here, he said that stop trying to sell your fake knowledge on your waste of time books. Is all this fake? Is all the study fake for past 100 years in Chinese martial art, Chinese history, and in the University of China, Japan, and the US Army, Professor McCraw? Is that fake? That's why I say I'm nobody. I'm completely nobody. And if you watch this YouTube, I said, the YouTube title said Ordinary Hendrik, not Researcher Hendrik. Research in China. No, nothing about that. My missions, my duty is just to tell the world. Tell the world. That's why I tell you before. I'm a Chinese descendant. Why should Chinese tradition be twisted for your king's demand? Why is Wing Chun can be distorted because your research and you play God? As a Chinese descendant, that's my duty to protect my culture. You're violating my culture, violating the Chinese culture. You go to China, you do that, see what happened to what Xi Jinping, Chairman Xi will say. As an American, like Professor McCraw, you see how Professor McCoy is a really big-hearted people. Go to China in 1916, helping the Chinese. You see how is it? How solid is that thing? You see how the Kyokushin's fighters following the Dojo Kun? That is the real Kung Fu. That's the real Chinese martial arts. That's the real Budo. That's the real science. In the true transmissions of Chinese, there's no room for the bullshit authority playing games. I am 70 now. Saying those kind of things to me. Will you say that? They just show what? No educations, have no idea on what is going on. Now, it have break the law in America. So this is what I like to share with you. I hope that all us serious Wing Chuners, Chinese martial artists, we need to get the truth. We cannot just following all this God. I from uh, I'm from this. I'm the grandmaster from this lineage. Grandmaster for what? Or just go out there and try to playing bully to other people. Is that proper? Is that proper behavior? Is that represent Wing Chun? Wing Chun researcher? Research for what? Do you know Chinese culture? Do you know what is going on? Do you know what is already going on 100 years ago? Do you have the transmission? Like I have the transmissions to 1850 trackable. I am the student, the grand student of Ma Li Tang. And Ma Li Tang, at that time, is studying the university, is following the United States professors' physical educations program, going through physiology, biomechanics. Ma Li Tang is an internal art, right? His student, he's a Sifu Ma Li Tang, and in the Guo Ying Shen and all this Sun Lu Tang, a real internal art teacher, practitioner, study with the real grandmaster, the top famous, reputed, well-known grandmaster. Why is it going the American way? Why is it going to say you need to track your breathing, your nervous systems? I leave this to the world. I put this here in this YouTube, leave it for you who come in the hundreds of years. No, Chinese Kung Fu is not belong to those kings who have clueless on what is going on with the Chinese Kung Fu, clueless with the involvement of like the uh, American influence the Chinese martial arts world, the real one, not the fake one, not the claim here, claim there, but have no idea on what is the details on all everything. I leave it here. I'm not important. The important is you all who is serious. So you be able to really learn something, get benefit from it. I never ever saying that our Chinese is the best, have the ultimate chi. No, 100 years ago already, it breached with the science taught by Professor McCrory in China. And Professor McCrory's view, outlook, judgment is same with General Qi Guang 450 years ago. That's why, remember, Professor McCrory worked in the US Army. We talk what? We are not talking bullshit, go competition, you beat your student, you beat a few guy. We are talking war here. General Qi Guang's war with the Japanese well-trained army. Professor McCrory's the war in the Second World War. Tang Hao's and Ma Li Tang's reform in China. We are talking that. So this is to share with you all which is coming. A martial artist, no matter how good you are, as my Sihan told me, one mountain have another mountain higher. The second thing is has to have the courtesy toward the senior, and if you good, you think you are good, go prove it yourself to fight in the open ring. Choose your opponent who is better than you, or as you're bullying. Okay? The real Chinese Kung Fu master, Shifu, under, as what I told you, the traditional Chinese, do not have those kinds of people. Those are not Chinese culture. Those are something else. So don't equal with Chinese culture. And in United States, you're breaking the law of harassment, discriminations. You're breaking the law of bullying, violence, cyber violence. You're breaking the law of defamations. That is law. That's up for legal action. So I like the United States. So you see, in the US, we can study all these things I just shared with you. Without the US, how can we study all these things? How can we even have a free speech to tell everybody what is the truth?